Welcome to BamBam-O-Rama.
Welcome to BamBam-O-Rama. We got the schmeats.
We got the schmeats.
So welcome to another BamBam-O-Rama podcast. You got myself, Adrian Estrada, and this guy over here.
I'm Jackson Grist.
And of course, our lovely guest today, Mr. Grant. Yes.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Thank you for being here. We're very delighted. I'm very excited. You've got props.
Yeah, man.
This is incredible.
Right?
Like, look at this. Can you just walk me through this one real quick?
I work with the special ed kids. My daughter was out of school with strep, and I had to miss a day of school and hang out with her. And we're just drinking. I'm drinking my coffee, and we're watching cartoons and keeping the hot tea going in her. I'm like, I got to have something to do. And I said, I don't own a Viking helmet. So I looked around online. There's some really good websites to go to and search for patterns other people have created. Some are free, some for sale. I was like, well, I like this. And I was like, okay, forget all their work. I sat and sketched out what I wanted. And I was like, oh, I can totally make that. And I sat and created my own pattern for this as I went. In the crocheting craft and in knitting, people call that freehanding, where you're not using a pattern. You just kind of make it up as you go. You do have to sit and write down, like I definitely wanted these two to match each other. That took some effort. So I wrote down every step I did as I did the first one, then just reversed it and did the other one. It was great. When I took her to school the next day, I made sure and put that on before she got out of the car.
Yeah.
So all her friends could see it.
There you go.
She's advanced. She's only 13, but she is now embarrassed by me on like a 17-year-old level already.
That's perfect. You covered a question I was going to ask you about. Did you use a pattern, and y'all call it freehand, you said?
Yeah.
Have you always done freehand, or when you started out, did you use pattern?
Oh, no. When I started out, I learned to crochet from a book. When I would run into a new kind of stitch that didn't make sense, there's some really good YouTubers out there, and I would look up. Yeah, I'll tell you, if I drop any YouTubers or brands or anything like that, guys, I don't have any paid sponsorships or other kind. If any companies decide they want to send me free stuff, I'm happy to take it.
Absolutely. Us too.
I recommend a YouTuber, Jada in Stitches, especially to a lot of the kids that are learning. She has great instructional videos. She walks through it slow and gives you some good tips. But anyway, yeah, between books and Jada in Stitches, I learned to crochet, and I started out. So I would do other people's patterns. Fine. And I would try to look for the ones labeled for beginners. And then I've always been a mathematics person. So before long, you're going to start seeing how the patterns work. It took a little while, but I was like, after a while, if I could draw something out, I could typically make it. You're going to look back at some of the old patterns you did. What makes a ball? What makes an oval? What makes a square? And follow those things along. Originally, I did everything from other people's patterns. I still do sometimes. I find something real complicated, I'm always going to look at Ravelry.com. That's a good website. You can get a free membership on there, and you can search, and like, you want to make an Easter bunny, you search Easter bunny. There's going to be 300 patterns come up, and then you could filter it by how much you're willing to pay for the pattern. Some of them are free, some of them are $3, but I'll get on there and at least look at their pictures for inspiration. Yeah, now most of what I make now, I write my own patterns. I love doing the 3-dimensional things, like Afghans, scarves, baby blankets. Those are all a blast, and it's neat to experiment with the color. But yeah, 3-dimensional, I make a lot of toys.
It does. I do have to say that. Like, my experience with crocheting was, I've never crocheted, but my grandma used to crochet back in the day. Pretty much what she made was like toboggans or what we call beanies nowadays.
Yeah. The word beanie still irritates me. I like toboggan better.
Right. And then she also, she made just very simple stuff, blankets and beanies for the most part. You've gone.
Yeah, I get a little haywire.
Yeah. I love it, though. I love this Mando you have over here.
Now, that started with, I got on Ravelry. I found a pattern that someone else wrote. I was really impressed with her work, and I bought her pattern and then didn't use it.
But you show the support, and that's that's about, right?
Yeah, I wanted that artist to get a little little something out of what she's doing. I hope she sells a ton of those patterns. Of course, her pattern doesn't say Mando or Mandalorian on it. She doesn't want to get hit.
Which reminds me, as we're recording this, Disney's already sent a lawyer here.
I can see him through the window. You know, I looked at her pattern closely and I was like, this is great. This is great. I'm going to steal this element. I'm going to steal this element. I'm going to change that element. I got on Amazon and I ordered, you know, like the 2020 plastic face shields a lot of people wanted.
I know. Yep.
I ordered a replacement that was tinted and I cut this bit out and I sewed it in there.
Nice.
You want to?
Yeah.
The lens does want to fog on you. If you get it in the right position,
Yeah,
you can
I
breathe
can
through
tell.
the front without. And of course, when we get our first real good snow day every year, I wear that getting the kids out of the car at school, and most of them lose their minds. Now, if he's Mando, you got to try on my Grogu.
You got to be Grogu.
And Grogu was completely free-handed. That one was, and I had to put the little braid ties like the Laplander hat, and you just like grab the ear flaps and pull it snug. Yeah, and you're just right.
The best thing I think about all of this is not that it looks as cool as it is that it's functionally as cool looking as it could be.
Yeah, I've made some things just for looks. I got a little out there, and I crocheted a full body costume of Dr. Zoidberg from Futurama.
Holy
that. That
shit!
was
I don't
cool.
remember, I've never seen this.
And I think I've got some pictures of it on. I think I put some on Reddit. That one, now I did try to do it as thin as possible because, oh my god, I mean, you're putting on a skin tight, basically an Afghan.
Yeah, it's getting warmer real quick.
Yeah, that one is really warm.
This feels great.
That's the best yarn I've ever found for making toys for children. It
Yeah.
feels like chenille. I work with the autism unit, and a lot of my kids, they like the toys I make out of that. It's calming to sit and just pet it.
We need a
Fuzzy
little
walls.
We need a little floating egg
Okay.
to put you in.
Oh, like okay.
So, yeah.
We could make that happen. I enjoy it. I mean, it's something to do. You can sit around when you've got downtime. You can sit and watch TV, and that's just dandy. Or I can sit and watch TV and do this, which, you know, I've been asked if I have ADHD because of how much I have to be working on something. I moved past ADHD a long time ago. I'm up to 160 HD now.
160.
If I try to be still, I just kind of vibrate.
You know what's funny? Bringing up ADHD is yesterday we were in Kyle and we interviewed Jeremy Calley. He mentioned that he's discovered recently that he has ADHD too. So
Yeah.
going around, I think we all might have it.
I think it's contagious now.
Might be.
We got it from Aunt Rona when she came to visit us.
So one more thing about crocheting before we do move on from it, because we got a lot of other things we want to talk about. You did talk a little bit about how beginners to get started.
Yeah.
Is there a kit or is there like a suggested needle or yarn to beginners to get to?
Yeah. There's a lot of ways to get into it. Most of your local craft stores carry some small kits that are leveled for beginners where you can make, you know, something small. You don't want a beginner to try and make an Afghan. They're going to lose their mind. It's going to take forever. Looked at some really great ones just yesterday at Hobby Lobby. Joann's. I looked at some great ones at Joann's. Little kits that were just small stuffed animals. It's a good beginner, whether you're an adult or a child. And then, Hobby Lobby carries some that they have like, you're making what they call a lovey. It's like a security blanket for a baby. It's a little blanket thing, and you have like part of a character or a little animal or something coming out of the center of it for them to hug onto. And you can pick up a lot of skills there. For people that are wanting to just jump into it, I suggest get a thick yarn, something about as thick as a pencil, not the regular stuff you're going to use for your beanies and whatnot, but the thicker stuff. Bernat blanket yarn is one. It's about as thick as a pencil. Lion brand makes some good ones. Most of the brands make a thicker one, and then get the thick hook that's like a 8 or 9 millimeter diameter hook, and watch a YouTube video. Learn how to make a scarf. You're only going to need one type of stitch to do the whole thing.
And that's just like a dexterity thing. It makes it easier.
Yeah.
Having the fatter hook and the fatter yarn, you can see more easily what you're doing. For a first time project, do a bright color. Like the knitting clubs that teach knitting, they always, on their flyers, they always put out no black yarn. It's hard to see. It's hard to see the previous stitches, and you have to go back into those.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
Have you seen I think I'd see it on Instagram and TikTok more than anywhere else. I don't know if you're on either of those apps. There's a a product called like Wobble or something like that. It's like a
Yeah,
You know what
yeah.
I'm talking about?
That's the one that I just saw at Joanne's yesterday.
she
the
has 'em.
wobble. Yeah,
Okay, cool.
yeah. They're cute little critters.
They are cool. Honestly, when I see those advertisements, I mean, it half works on me. I almost want to buy them every time.
Yeah, yeah. I think they're a lot of fun. I still haven't sat down and written one out, but I've written out patterns for a lot of things. Like this is one I created. The kids get so many bunnies and stuff for Easter. I made Easter octopuses for my daughter's class when she was in, I think, first grade, and the kids lost their minds. I made these for her class. I made them for my wife's special ed group. That Easter, I think I made 60 of these guys. I've written out the patterns for a lot of these because this would be good for a beginner. Sooner or later, I'm going to put them together into a book, and I don't know, sell it
You
cheap,
can sell it.
make it a download.
You can very easily sell digital books on Amazon right
Yeah.
now.
Well, there's also, I mean, we've been trying to coerce you into letting us help you with a YouTube channel.
Yeah, we're going to have to get around to that one of these days.
But I mean, have you ever heard of Kajabi?
No, that doesn't ring a bell.
It's made for classrooms online, so you can create a little unit of, classroom.
Oh, wow.
And it might be up your alley of what you're planning on doing. Instead of having to deal with a book, publishing and all
Yeah.
that, you could publish it to Kajabi maybe.
Yeah, you could come up with like a 6-week course or something like that, and
That'd be a really good time
Sponsored
frame
by
to. Yeah.
get us Kajabi.
Yeah, come over here, Kajabi, sponsor us.
Yeah, yeah.
Right. I mean, I'm thinking about putting a guitar course on Kajabi. So
That's one of the things I like about some of these user-based websites we get out there, like Ravelry.com, because a lot of people, they're not having to publish something and mail it out to you when you buy it. You can. I mean, I've seen ads on there where they link me over to like an Amazon page and buy the person's nice hardback book. But then there's a lot of them where it's just a PDF. I pay the person a few bucks for their labor they put into creating this, and then I download a PDF that it may be one pattern, or there's one I bought on there. I got patterns for like 20 different farm animals. They only charge $8 for that. And I'm like, where are you going to buy a book for that price that's got this many great ideas to work on?
I think it'd be fun. I hope to see it someday.
Yeah.
Out there. It'd be cool to have. Can you bring out some more stuff?
Yeah, man.
This.
So that's one I primarily.
oh my god,
Yeah.
I love this.
that is cool.
I primarily work with autistic children at school. We do behavioral stuff with them. I do get called for some assistance here and there, and we do some social stuff with some of our kids with emotional disturbances. And I've got a young man right now that he's been at our school for years. He's only diagnosed recently, and since we started working with him, he's making some great strides. This was a kid that had a hard time being in a classroom for 30 minutes at a time, and now he's successfully staying in class all day. He's putting in the work, and he's learning the coping skills we're talking about. He is absolutely in love with the turtles that we have at school, and the kid's favorite color is blue, and he doesn't know about this guy yet.
Oh,
He's been working like daily to earn tiny rewards, and he works to get a bigger reward weekly. And so as much as he loves turtles and he loves everything blue, I designed him this wild looking turtle here that this will be for a 6-week reward. If he can make it 6 weeks without getting sent home from school for behavior, he gets to take this home.
that's
And
awesome.
you said he's close, right?
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's really cool. I want something like that.
I want some I'm
Well,
fascinated by this because
and
like we talked about having ADHD, and I know that this is something that ADHD and autism share, textures.
Yeah.
This is some really.
like I could sit here with
And
this
that's
thing
why-
for hours.
And if you see, like, this is a very simple crochet. It's one stitch.
Yeah.
It's called a single crochet stitch, and it's pretty uniform fabric, much like something you would wear. But then, like, the top of him is different stitches. I made it almost like a cable knit. It was there was an accidental discovery about the turtles. I do a lot of sea life stuff. I like it. My wife's classroom is sea life themed. I made a sea turtle for a friend that's obsessed with turtles, and she had to have a ileostomy, and they had to resection part of her colon and everything. And you can imagine, how well I took that to her as something to love on, something to make her, brighten up her day a little the day after surgery. And she called me later and she said, "Oh, guess what? It's a sea turtle about that size." She goes, when I have coughing fits, it's insanely painful. She said, I was holding that turtle once and I had one, and I hugged him and squeezed him when I was having a bad coughing fit, and it relieved the pain. It was holding everything in place after having her abdomen laid open. And so now that's something, anytime we've got friends or family that have an abdominal surgery, and I recommend it to people on Reddit and stuff too. I'm like, make a turtle. I stuff them with a simple polyfill. You can get it in any of the craft stores. You can buy pillow forms and stuff it with that. It helps out people when they're recovering after a surgery.
Yeah, this is awesome.
Nice.
Oh, okay.
So, are we still recording?
I'm gonna figure that out.
Adrian's trying to cuddle my babies, and he's trying to break his laptop.
Oh, your bunny! You changed your bunnies.
I'd made some of these one Easter. I love making them out of a dark brown yarn. They look like chocolate. And I did one like this for one of my students that wants everything to be rainbow. Yeah, I mean, kids like rainbow. But anyway, yeah, I got talked into making some stuff to sell. I'm an old hippie. I make the stuff when I feel like it. It relaxes. It's a relaxation thing, and it's a time killer, and it's a creative outlet. It's a stress outlet. It's anti-anxiety. It's anti-depression, man. It's good for everything. I feel a little bit pretentious if I refer to myself as an artist, and like, I was real shy about that when people started calling me one. If you want to be real pretentious, between the crocheting, the knitting, the tie-dyeing, there's a term for it. We're called a fiber artist. So if somebody's like, hey, what kind of art do you do? I'm like, well, I can't draw. I can paint something okay to please myself sometimes. But this stuff, yeah, I know I do well at it. I get a lot of people stroking my ego.
Because people do call me, I don't know if you do this, Adrian. Some people call me an artist sometimes. And I'm like, no, I'm a musician. I'm a songwriter. I can't
say the words I call you on this podcast.
That's not what I was asking.
You just reminded me. Some of the funniest things in my life these days are stuff from school. I went to work with one of my autistic kids in second grade PE.
Glad I reminded you of that.
I go down to second grade PE one day, and all the kids know me. I mean, there's not a lot of men in elementary schools right now. There's like, I'm glad this year there's 3 of us. That's the most there's ever been at my campus. I taught at
elementary schools too, and I traveled between them. There was campuses I walked on. I was the only man.
So all the kids there know the guy, plus the weirdo hippie. Yeah. So one of the second graders, he says, Mr. Guess, what's your real name? I said, well, Mr. Guess is my real name. He's like, no, really, what's your real name? And I'm like, no, I didn't make this name up. And he's like, no, what? And he was trying to figure out how to ask for my first name.
Yeah.
He didn't know that term yet. But he said, no, what does Mrs. Guest call you? I said, oh, I'm not allowed to say that word in front of the children.
What did he say?
He just looked confused. I was like, do you mean my first name, Bud? And he's like, yeah. And I was like, okay, Grant. I was like, and if you call me that at school, your parents may not be able to find you anymore. I love messing with the kids. One of the kids was shoving another one around. I said, if you shove kids at school, I have to pick you up by the ankles and put you in the dumpster. He goes, you can't do that. It's illegal. I said, do you think I'm afraid to go back to prison? He's so confused.
That's amazing. Do you think I'm afraid to go back?
These poor kids, man.
At one of my campuses, back when I was curling my mustache, which I want to do again, there was a kid who came up to me. I believe he was a life skills student, but he came up to me and said, why do you have your mustache like you're a supervillain? And I said, because I'm a supervillain. He freaked out. He was like, you are not a supervillain.
Well, I'll get some of them that are like new kids will see me walk down the hall and I'm saying hi to like an entire grade. He's like, how do you know everyone's name? You're like, one of them, you're like Santa Claus. You know everyone's name. I was like, I am not Santa Claus. I'm his younger brother. And they just believe that.
Honestly, if someone told me Santa Claus had a younger brother that he's embarrassed of that wore tie-dye all the time, I'd be like, I believe this.
Why would he be embarrassed of it?
I don't know, because Santa Claus is prestigious.
We may need to make a cartoon of this.
Yeah, and he has to invite the family over, and he's like, my younger brother Grant. Grant Claus.
Can we do a live action? I can't do animation yet.
Oh yeah, we could totally do that. I have the wardrobe.
Yeah.
There's one. We were talking about going to the farmers markets and stuff. This is a big seller. People like the mandala patterns that I make, and just like setting and coloring in mandalas in the adult coloring books. This is very relaxing. It's a very meditative process. I don't just tie it up where it's going to be the same thing front and back either. I like to do different stuff. And this, I don't know how well this shows up on camera. This is a really cool. It's a process I learned from Mr. Tie-Dye on YouTube. Anyone starting out that wants to do some nice tie-dyes, look up Mr. Tie-Dye on YouTube. He has some amazing walkthroughs. The guy does some artwork that's just out of this world. He's another old hippie that's just great. This isn't made of multiple colors. I did the back of this, the dye company, they make this shade. It's called shiitake mushroom. You mix it with your water and your urea, and you have the liquid dyes to make the solid color things. I soak down the shirt with soda ash, and then I come in and I tie my pattern on the front, and I take the rest of it and just scrunch it up, and I sprinkle the powdered dye on there, and then I pour boiling water over it, and it gets that dye to separate out into all these different pigments that they use to make that.
That is cool.
Yeah, you get it's like a nebula in space or something. I've done shirts that are nothing but that. My daughter has a couple of dresses I made like that she loves. A lot of people like those. My wife had a brilliant idea, and I like to show these off. These are really vibrant. When we went to Disney World this summer for the Girl Scout conference, she's like, our one little friend Elizabeth is with us, and we're looking around. You might be looking for 10 minutes. Where is this kid? And she's 15 yards away. She's right there.
It's terrifying how easy it is to misplace your child at Disney World.
Yeah. But then Julie's like, well, I never had to look for you and Maya. I just glance up, and even if you're a long ways off, I see you. You're in these bright tie-dyes. The campus that she's at this year, she's got kindergarten through second grade special ed kids, and they're going to get to take several field trips. She's like, can you do like some even higher visibility tie-dyes, and we'll put all of our kids in them for the field trips, and then they're right there. It's not like they're going to be the only school there. There's going to be a dozen other classes there. She can look up instantly and see her kids. So Labor Day weekend, I did tie-dyes, and I did different dominant colors for each class between 3 different class groups. I made 60 shirts Labor Day weekend. And that was her idea to do the ultra bright. And then my add-on to it, I ordered jersey numbers.
There you go.
Nice.
I bought jersey numbers on Amazon and iron them on there.
Yeah.
And the kids are going to line up, and if you're a kid short, you're instantly going to spot it and instantly know who it is. I like these little V-neck patterns. Like, the kids are going to like it. It's going to make awesome pictures for mom and dad.
That looks like the sun.
Yeah.
That is cool.
Yeah, I call this a starburst pattern. I'll do them where the stars bursting out of the side or from the center. Well, that's like that first one. We looked at the mandala in the center of the adult shirt. That's just another mandala, but I center it on the side, and that way we can get more points and more colors on there. It looks cool for the kids.
Speaking of mandalas, have you ever tried making like sand mandalas and doing like that kind of traditional?
I've only done it a couple times. I did some smaller ones. It takes a skill.
Yeah.
And I think that's part of why it's so relaxing, is that you're slowly learning the skill. I wasn't great at it, but who cares? It's for me. It's not for anyone else. I give this lesson to our kids. I've got a great smiley face tie-dye that the kids love. I tie-dyed this big smiley face into it. I'm so proud of it. The kids love it. I show them the picture of the first one I did. It looks like a scary clown. It looks like the insane clown posse wouldn't let it open for them.
I'm not going to lie. I kind of want this shirt.
Yeah.
That way I can drink Faygo in public and not get yelled at.
Yeah. And like our kids they get depressed, especially, maybe whether it's art class or math class or reading class, they don't do so good on something the first time. I'm like, I don't do good on everything the first time. Look, I was like, I learned from it and move on, and I'm better the next time. So this is a big thing I like to impart with the kids too. When I first started tie-dyeing, I was using some cheaper dyes. They didn't look so great. Every time you wash them, the colors fade a little more and they spread into each other a little more. Well, did I waste those shirts afterwards? No. If you check this out, like the mandalas, you look at other people's work online too, you'll see we do a super tight tie on that with sinew, so that the parts that we don't, those white lines, they stay that way. Well, when I have a shirt that I foul up, I tie a mandala on it, or I'll tie a flower on it, and I tie it up good and tight. And then I drench the thing in a dark dye like black or blue or purple. And when you wash it out, the places that tying was are just all these bright pastel colors.
That's cool.
From the shirt that I screwed up. We've got the whole recycling and upcycling theory going there because we're not wasting anything, but we're also taking something that we view as a mistake and turn it into something beautiful.
Turn it into something, yeah.
Yeah.
That's pretty awesome.
That's a good lesson for those kids whenever you are talking to them about that stuff.
It really is.
I think it's a good lesson for adults too.
Anyone adults, because I mean, I taught music in the classroom for 8 years. I don't know how many students I had sign up for my orchestra, and then 2 weeks in, they're like, violin's hard, and I'm like, yeah, and I was like, and you're not going to learn it if you quit after 2 weeks. I want you here for the whole year, but like really just give me 6 months before you make a decision. And I think that's the truth with anything. You're not going to learn it. You're not going to master it in 2 weeks.
There's not a lot of prodigies in the world that pick something up right away.
No.
The people that are good at something are good at it because they put in the time.
Yeah.
I mean, you think, was Mike Tyson born a boxer?
No.
Hey, we read the stories about how he was the scrawny kid,
He's bullied.
Yep.
That was why he became a boxer.
Yep.
Right.
Massive amounts of work and effort into it. Yeah. Artists are the same way. You gotta put in it. Yeah. It's fun. It's interesting. And you sit and figure stuff out,
And you had made some, even tablecloths and stuff.
Yeah. I'll show you. I feel like Gallagher.
I was gonna
or
say Carrot Top.
digging in the prop. So yeah, like for going out to the sales and stuff, everybody gets these like plastic tablecloths, and the wind is gonna mess with them. And you can use the same one maybe 4 times, and you gotta toss it away. It's got tears in it. So I make mine out of twin size fitted sheet. You think it's hard to fold the fitted sheet to go into the closet?
I bet that's a pain in the ass.
Yeah, it took some practice to learn how to tie them up. And like I get these lovely mandala patterns, and the first person that was looking at mine and said, "No, I really want to buy some of those." I'm like, "Well, I don't make those for sale. I just make them for me." Like, "No, I really, really want to buy them from you. How much would you charge me?" And she talked me into making her some, and I made her a beautiful set. And when I delivered them, she sells tie-dyes at the markets. I was like, "Hey, your stuff is awesome. Why did you buy this from me? And you spent way more money than I thought you should on it." And she's like, "Well, your stuff's so much better than mine." And I was like, okay, I'm going to love this lady forever. She's awesome. The bigger stuff is a lot of fun, and I've been doing more wall tapestries and stuff too. I had some school counselors order some from me. And so for those that know their fabrics, this is muslin. It's a real soft, airy cotton.
That's like your pants.
It's for baby blankets.
Yeah.
Okay.
Had some friends with babies on the way, and I thought, hey, they're kind of weird hippie people too. Let's see what a tie-dye baby blanket looks like. I'm liking the way the light goes through these. Well, I'd been trying to figure out the appropriate fabric to make some lampshades. Like, you have the Japanese paper lamps you hang from the ceiling. I was wanting to try to make a cube, and I was like, what fabric do I use? And I put some of these on some lamps, and we've all got the LED bulbs these days. We don't have to worry about the heat.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, feel that.
Yeah, it's like your pants, right? That's like the same.
Yeah, that's pretty much the same thing.
Yeah, I know this material. I had a baby.
I was really pleased with myself. I did tie-dye king-size sheets for our bed. There's sheets and pillowcases.
That's pretty
and all.
cool.
Yeah, they turned out pretty radical. When I started going out and doing the markets and stuff, I've got my little canopy out there, but man, I fry in the sun. So I made walls for it out of fabric. I was like, hey man, I can go buy a tarp at Lowe's, or I can go buy big swatches of fabric. And I did some 10 foot by 10 foot tie-dyes. Those take some effort. You get pretty sweaty. I'm crawling around in the floor because my table's not big enough, folding them in the floor, fighting the dogs off.
But also, that's also like
face
kind of a brilliant marketing idea too, because if you're walking around the farmer's market and you look over and you see the booth that has tie-dye walls, you know
Some
what that
tie-dye
guy's
in there,
selling.
Yeah.
He's got some wheat. I mean, tie-dye.
Yeah, no, I could tell you and like Fridays at school, we can wear jeans. Oh, I had to be the smart aleck. Nobody said blue jeans.
Right? You wore tie-dye jeans?
Yeah, man, I bought some white jeans and dyed them all up. I've taken some Levi's and taken some, bleached some of the blue out and dye them up. But yeah, there's been more than one Friday. I'm driving home and I go through a fast food joint drive-through somewhere. And I'm not going to say which one, but one particular taco place here in town, I get to the window window, and the kid at the window tries to buy weed from me. I was like, no, man, I never touch this stuff.
He's like, no, I'm not a cop. I work in this place. You can sell it to me.
Yeah, I'm like, no, seriously, man. I'm like, and they get all apologetic, and I'm like, nah, you don't need to apologize. I know what I look like, man.
That's what's nice, though. At least people who are trying to buy weed off of you and make a mistake are like, oh, I'm sorry. People who try to buy cocaine off of you and make a mistake, they're pissed that you're not selling cocaine. Like, they're like, what do you mean you don't have cocaine?
I've not had that experience in life, thankfully.
Well, unfortunately, we both worked in bars, and people think you do that stuff if you have a lot of charisma. For some reason, that's what they think that you have, is cocaine in your body.
Never occurred to me to, even if I was interested in that stuff, it wouldn't occur to me to ask a random stranger.
Oh, yeah. I got asked, I don't know how many times. And legit, every single one of those people who wanted to buy cocaine off me, which I never had, were pissed that I didn't have it for them.
Well, yeah, because I kept sending them to you. And with
Yeah, hey, man, we hit all the clubs in Dallas in the 90s, and sometimes we would get some weird offers that they're using their slang. I was blissfully unaware most of that. I didn't mess with dope, and like, I'm like, why would I want to buy balloons from you? We're listening to some Trent Reznor music, and everybody's dressed in black, goth to the max. They look like Johnny Depp party favors. You mean like little things you blow in? And my buddies are laughing at me, and they're like, no, he's trying to sell you nose candy. I was like, oh, I know that word. What? Why would they call it party favor? Why would I want that? But yeah, man, I mean, and that's another one of those subjects I do like to get onto. I'm a big promoter of legalized marijuana, whether it's medical or recreational. I think it's a lot safer than alcohol.
It is.
absolutely.
In a lot of ways, but I never did. I tried it out when I was younger. I didn't like the effects. I'd rather have some bourbon. And as far as the harder stuff, I wasn't interested in trying it because I had an older brother that I watched slowly kill himself with it. And he did. He died way too young from that stuff. Yeah, I'm a hippie. Yeah, I'm a weirdo. Yeah, I like to get around weird musician people. Why does that mean I got to do some dope?
Right, exactly.
Oh, yeah.
And that's one of the things that gets annoying about it. It's like, we're not doing that stuff.
You and I are both suffering from long haul COVID. I know that there's a lot of people I've communicated with online that it's helping them with some of their symptoms.
The marijuana.
Yeah.
Yeah. People don't realize that even though it's a smoke, it can help open and expand your lungs, which is a big thing about it.
Yeah.
It doesn't always. I'm not saying it's a miracle drug, which is another problem.
Oh, yeah.
Because on the other side of things, we have snake oil people. It can.
Yeah.
It doesn't always.
Well, and one of my biggest after effects, I had insomnia before. Long haul COVID, this insomnia on steroids. And I have some terrible, terrible issues with insomnia. And I'll be open about it. I'm not embarrassed. I was miserable when we were in Vegas on vacation last time. The insomnia was a miserable level. And it's not like I can run down to my general practitioner and say, hey, give me something to help me sleep for a couple days. I ate a really low dose edible. And we're talking like I had 2 milligram edible and split it in half. And I had the first good night of sleep that I'd had in months.
For viewers that don't know, in Texas, you can get THC, texasoriginal.com, or research the Compassionate Care Act. THC is the only reason I'm still on this planet.
Yeah.
Because my brain was hit by a baseball bat. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
And
after COVID, and the first time I saw you after, and within 30 minutes of visiting, it was your thought processes and your just weren't the same. And I have a lot of days of that too.
And it's getting better where, like for instance, today I'm very coherent, but I have spells of different person.
Yeah.
If I were to be a self-diagnoser, oh my God. Oh my God.
Hey, if you think there's something wrong with you, especially mentally, emotionally, don't get on Google and look that
For
up.
real.
Don't get on WebMD.
Right.
You don't want to jump straight to going to a shrink. I know it feels like you're giving up at that point, but go to your family practitioner, talk to him a little bit. Our brother that we lost from cocaine addiction, if he had talked to our parents about the emotional difficulties he was having in his teen years, he would have gotten the appropriate help. He would probably still be here with us today.
And for one thing, we should normalize going to see a therapist, to see a shrink, as we said, because
I know a lot of people in this area. Like I'm a strong believer in God, but I know a lot of strong believers in God in this area that they go to church and then they tell their kids, don't go to the doctor for that. You don't
Right.
need a doctor for that. Come to a counselor at our church. Talk to them about it. Jack, we've got a couple of friends we buried. They told their son not to get psychological help. They said, get it at the church. And you don't need medication to help that. And when he finally snapped, what'd he do to mom and dad? And now his life is just gone. He's going to be in a prison cell the rest of his life.
Absolutely.
And he's not getting the help he needs there.
And it's sad. And you're right. He's not.
I'm sorry, but pray it away doesn't make sense to me. Not even in my studies of the Bible did I ever find pray everything away.
But that's one thing that hurts me about the way it is preached to people is that the Bible doesn't say don't do these things, guys.
No, it doesn't.
Yeah.
The Bible doesn't say don't do half the things these preachers are saying.
Yeah.
You know, I'm not trying to talk trash about y'all's religion, but from the outside looking back from what I was taught, you're going into the dogma version of some of that.
I have a hard time with a lot of the churches because that's the direction they go.
A lot of them do. I've had so many friends in the church that bought into this idea of science versus religion.
Yeah, there shouldn't be a
There
versus.
shouldn't be a versus.
No, they should try to go together on all the emotional stuff and the religious stuff too. A lot of the fiber arts that I do, you're going to meet a lot of the artists, communicating with them on the blogs and online stuff. A lot of them express their spirituality this way. The hippies, of course, do, you know. And we talk about our unity, whether it's your mind, body, and spirit, or if it's yourself, your community, and your world. And that's a spiritual thing. It's very deeply felt. It's also, this is absolutely a coping mechanism and a medication for me. When I first started doing it, I wanted to do something nice for the world. It was really why I got into it. And I was bored. I've always been a hobby collector, basically. I get into too many different things. And when I started doing the crocheting and knitting, I made a pledge to myself. I said, I really like this. I like what it's doing. When I first began, I only started when my daughter started kindergarten because I wanted to be able to make something to give those kids every year at Christmas. And I turned it into Halloween, Christmas, and Easter.
That's so cool.
You know, when you
That is
showed
so cool.
these off on your Facebook and stuff, that was like the most delightful thing. And to have one in my hand right now is really cool.
These are
To
really
me, this
cool.
is almost like a celebrity moment because if I was a kid and had one of these, I would have been ecstatic.
Oh, it's so cool.
Just last week, I walked into a classroom. They'd earned a reward that they could bring a stuffed animal and to play with during class that day. And one of the little girls in there is sitting there with a toy that I made her big brother 8 years ago.
That's
cool.
awesome.
That's
And I was
really
like, you
cool.
stole that. And she just grins and goes, I stole everything you made for him.
That's got to feel real good.
Yeah, it feels great. And it was an inspiration from my mother. When Maya was starting kindergarten, I ran into one of my old school friends and she says, you know, I still have the little teddy bear your mom crocheted us in kindergarten. And she's like, I have to fight my kids off of it. They want to steal it. And I was like, yeah, I've still got some of that stuff too. And she's like, I wish people did things like that for the kids these days. And I was like, yeah, you're right. I do too. Later on, I sat there. I have always said, if you catch yourself going, somebody ought to, then maybe you should do it.
Then you do it, yeah.
I went and bought a book the next day to learn how. And I started out with little things like this. And then, periodically I make big, weird ones. I didn't pull him out from behind. He weighs a ton.
That thing is incredible.
This one is not for the kids. This is mine.
Yeah, right?
I
believe that.
love him. It was something I wanted to do to make the world a little bit brighter. Do something, man. If you've got talents, share them. If you don't have talents, develop them.
But we're certainly grateful that you did. Did we specifically invite people to where we can buy stuff from you?
Yeah, that's what I was going to ask you. I know, are you open? I know I've bugged you
it's-
about commissions. Are you open to taking commissions? Or
Like it's truly hippie style. Like I mostly just make what I feel like as it goes. And like I'll post up on my Facebook where I'm going to be if I'm going to go do a sell somewhere. And I only go sell tie dyes and then the toys and stuff, guys. Most of the toys I make, I'm doing them for our special ed kids. I spend my time on that as something to help the world. I do take a few commissions here and there. I get some messages through Facebook and whatnot. You want to look me up on Facebook? It's Grant Gass. My nickname on there is the Nifty Knitter. And of course, we did have to spell nifty with a K-N, just like knitter. And
there you go.
and it has the hard on it. I don't get out much. These are the things I think of when I'm bored. Sooner or later, I'm going to tick off someone in admin, but when I say stuff like that, I always go, these are the thoughts that kept me out of the good schools.
Let me rephrase it. Then. Can we send them to the farmers market?
They're only going to know if I'm there if I put it on Facebook. I go at random. I do want to do some traveling eventually, start hitting some of the music festivals. I'm not chasing the money. The money's nice because it affords
Replenishes the supplies.
Yeah, it replenishes the supplies and it can pay for me some gas and stuff to get there. But how great would it be to just travel around one summer going to music festivals? I've never been able to do that. I want to.
I bet you could sell these at ACL.
And there's some good festivals in Colorado Springs, Colorado and Manitou, Colorado. I had about 3 large trips planned for sales, and just because it was places I wanted to go, and then with some deaths in the family and so forth, all of them got thrown out the window. But yeah, I invite people, come see me. You can send me friend requests on Facebook and following me on there.
You okay with us putting the link in the?
Yeah. Oh yeah. And if I ever get off my butt and start doing some YouTube videos, I'll give you a shout because you're the one that knows how to do all that stuff.
Ish.
I don't know.
So on that note, we're trying this thing where all the guests we invite, we're going to try to weasel our way into your thing.
Yeah.
I have a proposition for you.
This is the first time you've propositioned me without holding a $20 bill in your hand.
Well, or in my teeth. So you're talking about doing this festival thing. Is there any chance you would like to schedule where we both go with you and document it?
Oh, yeah. Hell yeah.
Yeah.
Because, going to something like that, I'm cool with going and traveling by myself.
Yeah.
When I was younger, before I was married, I liked doing vacations alone. There's a philosophy put out by the great sci-fi writer Spider Robinson. Shared joy is increased. Shared sorrow is diminished. Going to a thing like that, experiencing something new, going to watch the music, see the people, see all the crazy colors and all the art. I really enjoy doing that by myself. It is so much more fun to have a buddy or two go, hey man, look at this, check this out. I mean, that's why I'm doing it. I worked at the bank for a long time, and I did well there. I took a massive pay cut to go from that to education. I mean, what instigated it was absolutely stress related. When I took the time off to reevaluate and see what I wanted to do, I took that time off and I had a lot of fun with my wife and my daughter on summer vacation. And I said, wouldn't it be great to be able to spend this time, be on the same schedule as them, spend this time with them while my daughter's young? When I was asked to come work with the autistic kids, I leapt at it because my wife has been teaching special ed for over 20 years now. And throughout the years, I always spent some time volunteering here and there. And there's so much joy that comes out of that. And I was like, this isn't much money, but we're in a position where we don't need that much money. We don't. Yeah. I mean, we're not rich people, but we're not swimming in debt. I like to avoid debt. I like to save money and pay for things instead of borrowing everything. I mean, I'm doing something I really like doing.
No one goes into education for the paycheck. We do it because we loved it.
Unless you're a superintendent, then it's for the paycheck.
Definitely.
That's an insane paycheck.
It really is.
If you're going to have a boring guest one week and want somebody to give them hell the whole time, I'd
You could be our Norm Macdonald.
You can pay me in coffee and whiskey. I do not need cash.
Jack has some leftover whiskey he's not touching anymore, and
There's
I don't
some
touch
right
stuff
here.
that he...
I have started touching whiskey again, most often with my lips and tongue.
Y'all make sure y'all check out the Nifty Knitter on Facebook. Louie and the Liars' new album, Snake Oil. Go check that out. Please check it out on Apple Music. I know we keep pushing this stuff, but right now there's different pay scales for the different streaming services.
Apple's just paying best.
Apple's paying best right now. So if you're going to support your local musicians, please do it on Apple.
Also, please go check out Jeremy Calley. You saw him on the podcast 2 weeks ago. He's still making guitars over in his little shop, and he's going to keep doing so. Please check out Audrey Adams Art. So as always, thank you guys for stopping by. Thank you again, Grant. We really appreciate you, and we love you all.
Hey,
Thank you.
thank you for having me on BamBam-O-Rama. BamBam-O-Rama. BamBam-O-Rama.
We got the Schmeats.
We got the Schmeats. Thank y'all. We love y'all.
I've been meaning to replace that this entire time, and just nothing has been...